Kenny, a couple weekends ago, the Pirates got to open the Northwest Conference schedule at Puget Sound and at Pacific Lutheran. You guys split over in Tacoma. A hard-fought game at Puget Sound, and then you held off the Lutes. Just take us through that and what you take out of that, and how, what things you liked about that weekend.
Yeah, so the Puget Sound weekend, or the Puget Sound game to kick things off for that weekend, I'd say kind of leading into things was a bit of kind of a quick turnaround as far as being on the road, the previous 2 weekends and kind of just jumping right into conference play. But I really was proud of how well the group kind of responded after that weekend with 2, tough losses down there in Santa Cruz. And then, with that short week of preparation, being able to adapt to, the Puget Sound style that we hadn't really seen to this point this far. So I thought that was a lot of good signs. Like, obviously we were up, at the end of the first quarter and then played them close in the second, but kind of the same thing that's kind of bitten us a few times this year of, a bad 3 or 4 minute stretch just somewhere in the game kind of cost us, and we weren't able to, rebound from that. But I think that there were a lot of positive signs that we can take definitely the next time we play them and some of the, top teams of our conference, and then, going quickly, in our conference, just knowing that every back-to-back you have is not going to be any nights off really. So I think responding quickly against PLU was a game where we came out of the gate kind of slow. We found ourselves down 10, responded in the second quarter, and then it was pretty much, back and forth through the second and halfway through the third, and then we had a good run. I think we got it up to about 16 or 18. They didn't give up at all, but we were able to close it out and came up with a good win there. So I think it was just a test that, you can't really use comparative results or records at this point still in the season, and just being able to know that whatever teams are doing, everyone's still finding their way, as well as your own team trying to improve. Other teams are doing the same. But it was a good opening weekend. Always good to get a road split, and definitely looking to build as one conference returns in a few weeks. But looking forward to this weekend's trip too.
Speaking of this weekend's trip, going to California, Southern California, you're going to see the same Caltech team that you saw in Santa Cruz, plus Chapman and Whittier. What do you know about these teams? What challenges will they present?
I think it's kind of, we're still at the point in the season, and like the non-conference, it's always weird when you jump in and have, a couple conference games, but understanding that the non-conference is just to still, find yourself, kind of determine what your identity is and just grow off of that. But like you mentioned, Caltech's an opponent we've already seen pretty recently. So for the team's sake, hopefully it's kind of, that extra fighter. No, this is a team that, handed us a loss early in the year in a game where, we didn't feel like we played well, missing a couple players. They had people coming off of injury as well, as far as I know. So it's just another game where it's like kind of like conference. You see someone early, they get the best of you. Now how can you respond with a team that's kind of familiar to you in that way? And then Chapman and Whittier, all of the teams really down there in the sky for the most part play pretty much half court styles. So it's something that kind of suits us as far as just being able to play normal basketball, so to say. But it's going to be a really good test. No matter what competition you're playing, 3 games in 3.5, 4 day stretch is going to be a tough test. But I'm glad that we had this week and a half, 2 week break to kind of reset, work on ourselves a little bit, and almost have another mini preseason, so to say, to really kind of kick things off going into the last 4 games of non-conference and then back after the new year.
Talk about when the team finishes in California. They're going to take a extended break, several days. What is it you ask them to do over that period?
It's like, well, the first part is a big break, mentally from academics. I know, this week of practice we've tried to keep things, short, condensed time-wise, but still have a good focus when we are there. So I think the first thing will be just to, enjoy time with your family, enjoy time off from the academics, because I'm really, proud of the group, how much they commit to the classroom and academic side of things. And then, as we get to, probably 2 or 3 of those 5 or 6 days, I'd love for them to, get some conditioning in, get some shooting stuff, just so it's not a complete, having to turn the engine over again when we get back after Christmas. But just like enjoy that, that break that you get, and just kind of have a refreshing, invigorated attitude when we get back to things on the, 27th.